All right, so the first thing you're going to want to do is go to the Module 1 Demographics Analysis and download that. Go ahead and click on it, and it will download to wherever you're going to put it. So watch carefully to see where it's going, and if you can't remember where it's going, please press Control J and then right click on it and open the containing folder. And mine's in Downloads. If I right click and extract all, that'll extract it into a folder called Module 1 Demographics, which I missed. All right, and then it's going to open it up for you. We're going to use this small deaths for tab, which means for Tableau here. And if you open that up, and I will probably have sent you a link to do it, you can look at some of the interesting things you can do with Tableau, and you can look at where we got our data. But that data is here for you. So the next thing we want to do is we want to go to Tableau and download. Say yes if it gives you this not sure if we should be there. And you'll have to enter your email address and then download and install the app. I'm not going to walk you through the download process right now, but you can see it's available for Windows and Mac. Please download the one that you need and install it. I'm pretty sure you all know how to do that. If not, come to class about 10 minutes early or seek help. All right, now we're going to start Tableau. And we're going to connect. Remind me tomorrow if it asks you to update it. Yours won't see that, mine does. We're going to connect to that file that we just downloaded. I'm going to bounce back over, and it was called Small Death. It's in my Module 1 Demographics. I'm using Alt-Tab to bounce back and forth. I find my way into my Downloads folder, my Module 1's Demographics, and I click on that file to open. And now I see that I've got these, and I have countries, I have cause of death, I have age group, and I think I only have one cause of death here, and that puts me in good stead to continue moving forward. So as we follow along in the notes here, for those of you who just want to do the notes, if you bounce back over, I didn't turn on enable editing, so I can't go anywhere. We'll move to page down. And we're going to go to that worksheet. It pops us and asks us if we want to do that anyway. So we're going to click on it. So it shows us. And so we have this worksheet here. And this is our basic working area for Tableau. And this is where we're going to continue. Tableau has these various things we can do. We can drop fields over here. So we could drag our age group over there. And we could drag a country as well. And that will give us various items. But Tableau, it doesn't quite give you exactly what you want. Sometimes you end up with just a blank screen, and you can play around with this until you get something that you really want. Okay, so that wasn't particularly useful. It gave us a single dot up in the corner, which was to sum. So let's go ahead and drag those sum of age group and sum of country out of the way. You'll notice there's two different types over here. You'll see measures and dimensions. And dimensions are categorical variables. We'll talk a lot more about variable type here as we go through how we do assessment in environmental issues. But for right now, let's try dropping name. Let's try dropping the name of the country over here in the field, and you'll see that pops up. And then we're going to drag deaths over into the columns. Sorry, I missed badly. And it should give us a nice looking chart like this. And what we'd like to do eventually, if what you see is the numbers over here and you don't see the values, go ahead and click over here. You'll see the chart here. If you clicked on any one of these, you'll get the various different kinds of charts. This is one of the things that makes Tableau fairly easy to use. This is heart disease, and you'll see the United States is the #1 purveyor of death by heart disease. And there are a number of reasons for that, but we're going to go on with this analysis here. And what we wanted to create, we want to create a particular type of pyramid plot, which WHO likes, and you'll see in many, many documents in public health. So let's click back here on our recommended, and we have this item that we wanted to have running here. We were going to want to create a couple of new variables. So we're going to go to measures here, and we'll create a variable for female and a variable for male, and we'll be back. Okay, but we want so we want a variable for female deaths and male deaths, which we're going to print back to back together to create the plot that we want. We're probably going to add a filter as well. So get your mouse over here in the data section, and we're going to right click there, and we're going to create a calculated field, and we'll call this one female deaths. And down here in this field, we're going to do an if, and you'll see it pops up for you. And in brackets, we're going to do sex, capital SEX. All right, pops up for us. And we're going to do equals 2, and 2 is female here. And then we're going to, in there, we're going to put deaths. So we're going to put our square bracket again, and we're going to put our deaths variable in there, and then we're going to type end, which finishes the command, the if command. So we could have put a bunch of other things in there, but we're just going to do if sex equals 2, then it's going to put deaths in there. It's going to create a variable that has all of the female deaths. It says calculation contains errors. Not sure what that error is, but we're going to go ahead and hit OK, and we're going to see if it popped it up. Did we get female deaths here? And so we'll have a look at that. Let's go ahead and look at our data source and see if female deaths is in there. And it's not. So let's try again. Let's go ahead and edit that. And oh, it contains calculation errors, which expected then. All right, so then we missed a then in between the 2 and the deaths. That's the error there. So we're going to put in then deaths end. And now it's good, and we'll apply that. Okay, and now we should have female deaths over here, and we'll say OK. And if we dragged our female deaths over here into our sum of deaths, you can see that essentially they look pretty similar, but you'll notice that the scales change rather drastically right here. You'll see the female deaths, and you'll see the deaths. You'll see the female deaths are about half, but not half in all cases. So we're going to go ahead and create another one over here. We're going to right click, and we're going to create a calculated field, and this is going to be male deaths. And down here it's going to, we'll have our if, and then again we'll have sex equals 2, then deaths. All right, and it says it contains errors, and we forgot our end there. And now we're good. Notice no errors. Calculation field is there. We say OK. And now you'll see over here we have female deaths and male deaths. Let's go ahead and drag our male deaths over here, and let's get rid of our total deaths. All right, so we've reached the point where we have a comparison of the countries, but it'd be really nice if we could flip this so they're back to back. So let's stop here for just a second. All right. What we wanted to do here is do this by age group. So we're going to go ahead and grab our age group variable, and we're going to drag that up here to dimensions because we don't want it to be a measure. We want it to be something that we can put in the rows. And we'll go ahead and drag names out, And let's go ahead and pull our age group over into our rows now. And you'll see we have, by age group, we have our heart-related deaths, which is pushing us right along to where we'd like to be towards it. Some of the things in the Word document are slightly different than what we're doing here, but we'll take that. Let's go ahead and double-click on female deaths, and you'll see a pop-up box come up. And one of the things we want to do there is we want to reverse the scale if we can, and there'll be a little tick box here where we can reverse our scale like that, and then we should be able to apply it and see what it does. And it flips it the other way, just sort of like we want it. And then we say OK to get rid of that box. All right. Then we're going to click the axis. Oops. All right. Sometimes my mouse skills get in my way. We're going to try to click the axis for female deaths to change for a color for our choice. There's a little drop down there, and we should, oops, sorry, we should be able to click on that. And over here, we're going to get a color. The color picker over here, pick something different. If you pick pink, well, whatever. Probably sexist or cultural. So let's go with light yellow. So we have yellow and blue, which are our colors. Go eagles. A good thing. So we basically have the plot that we want now, and we have total deaths for all countries by age group. We could throw a filter in to try to grab it for specific countries if we wanted to, and see how that skews it. So you'll see a filter here, and if we drag name over to filters, it brings a pop-up box, and we could grab the Bahamas, for example, and say OK, and we get a very different looking distribution of deaths in the Bahamas than we had if we go ahead and we change our filter. Instead of the Bahamas, if we made it Brazil, and it's much more, Brazil is much more like the US. So we will see different countries, and we'll see the fact that we have wildly different heart attack patterns throughout different countries. All right, we're going to pause here for a minute. All right, I took a minute's pause, but you didn't necessarily see that because I hit the pause button. All right, go ahead and hit this little storyboard down here, and we will, this is story 1, and this will be heart disease or heart attacks by age. And we should be able to drag our sheet 1, whoops. We should be able to drag our sheet 1 in there, and it doesn't really want to do it. It's up here, so we're going to drag that into our story, and there we go. We have it in here, and we'll be able to upload it. This will become live when we put it up. We don't really like our filter in here, and it's not showing up. So I'm going to go back to my sheet 1, and why is my filter not showing? All right, you see where it says Brazil here, or whatever country was the last one you selected? We're going to click the little down arrow there, and you'll see something that says Show Filter, Add to Content. We're going to click Show Filter, and you see it's going to be over here. So we see it now. So when we go to our Story 1, we now have it over here. So when we put this up on the web, somebody else can choose Guatemala or Ireland or Japan or all of them. Right, you see that you have to unclick them to select individual ones. So this will give our user the capacity to show what it is that they wanted to do. In Grenada, people are really healthy, apparently up until about 75, and then it gets pretty bad. So if you want to grow to old in a young way, Grenada seems to be a great place to go. It's if you can afford it. All right. Now we're going to go to File, and you're going to see Save to Tableau Public, and it'll probably ask us for a name, and it will ask you to sign in. It will spin for a while. I think it says sping in the notes. Feel free to erase the G at your own leisure if I don't get to it before you do. When we're doing this in class, we'll probably take a break because this will take a while. Firefox decided to update, but here we go. So here we have it. We now have a web accessible. You can send your story. It's called Story1 here. You'll see for me it's in the subdirectory GEi, which is global issues of the environment. Should be GEi to match the name of the course, but whatever, it's a typo. So we have this here. We can send the link to our friends, our colleagues, people we're trying to convince, donors, whatever. And this gives us the capacity to have our analysis live on the web. This is one of the reasons that the CDC and WHO have gone to using Tableau. One, Tableau is advertised well, but the other thing is it's very, very easy to dump our work to the web. And in the world of needing to create portfolios, this gives you the capacity to do it. So answer the question, if you want to grow old, would you rather live in Guatemala or Ireland? Ooh, Guatemala, pretty much all the way along. What about Ireland? Pretty slow. All right, young Irish people. I mean, this side of 55, Irish are 60, even 65. But somewhere between 80 and 85, the Irish just give up the ghost. So maybe it's those potatoes catching up with you later. All right, I'm sorry, Irish people. I know that's a horrible, horrible thing to say. All right, that's pretty much it for this section. We're going to create a map in the next section. Okay, we're going to record a new sheet here with a map in it. Hopefully, we'll be able to do two of the key things that you're going to need to do, which are essentially bar charts and choropleth mapping. So we're going to right-click on sheet 1, and we're going to do a new worksheet so we don't mess up our old worksheet. All right, we need one geodimension, and you'll see here when we click over a map, it says we need one geodimension and 0 or more dimensions and 1 or more measures. So we need to create one of the dimensions as a geodimension. So we're going to come over here on name, and we should be able to go to that and go to geographic role, and we're going to go to country/region. All right, and it should show it now changes it. So when we drag name over here, it should give us little dots all over the map, which is exactly what we wanted here. And we were going to play around with those dots to give us a little bit of size or color or shading. You can tell right now that clearly the data that I've dragged down don't include all countries. It's one of the problems when we do international public health, is that we have sketchy data from many places. The places we probably need data from the worst, like Africa, don't have good data collection, and therefore we don't have those values. We can get them. The reports will be there. We can dig them out and guesstimate. But for right now, for this purpose, we have exactly what we need. So let's go ahead and drag in male and female deaths. All right, and you see that it gives us two graphs with a size variable in there, so we can see there are radical differences in where we're plotting. Okay, click to save file and save to Tableau Public, and then we're going to let it save. When the connection times out, it creates some pretty serious issues, so we're going to stop and save every once in a while. Now we're going to right click on sheet 2. We're going to duplicate that sheet. We are going to turn it into a bubble plot where the darkness is the male deaths and the size of the bubble is female deaths. And then we're going to create a dashboard, because we said we'd get into doing some dashboards in one of my other classes, so why not do it here as well? That's econometric. So this gives us a working space. So if we toss that into the dashboard, oh, sorry, clicked on that, want to go back to the dashboard, it'll jump to it. You need to drag it over, and then we'll drag sheet 2 over at the bottom, and then we will drag sheet 3 down to the bottom there, and this will give us the opportunity for our dashboard to complete it, and we'll see what that looks like. We can play with it. We'll see what that looks like when we get it to Tableau. We can change this to age distribution, geographic location, and how about bubble plot, since I'm feeling uninspired. Alright, so we have the 3 of these, and now we are going to go ahead and do File and Save to Tableau Public As, and hopefully this will let me change the name from GEi1 to my first dashboard, and save. Notice you have a slider over here. Notice that you have your tooltips. You can share this. You can download it again. Let's go ahead and download that. And let's go ahead and download it as a workbook. One of the things that I don't like about Tableau, and we're going to save the file here, is that other people, once you've gone public, can share your data. That's one of the costs of using Tableau. But now, once we've uploaded it, we can download it and then open from local file. One of the hazards of the public and free version is data sharing and this occasional going offline when and crashing what you do, but all free software has its issues.